Today marks a very important milestone for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. We are launching two strategic platforms that for us will go a long way in redefining how government communicates with South Africans, with Africans, and the world. Those of you who are lucky enough to sit in the SAA business lounges when you travel would have noticed that on the shelves there is a magazine there called Ubuntu magazine. It's our quarterly external magazine that will complement the work of the radio station that we are launching today. It's been in existence for the last 12 months. And it's now available at all SAA business lounges. It's also one of the first government magazines to go digital. Means if you go onto our website, you'll be able to read the magazine and access it from the first page to the last page. The magazine is widely distributed. It's available at all our 126 missions abroad. Diplomats, business people, all our stakeholders, anybody who is interested in South Africa's foreign policy accesses and reads this magazine. The first edition was published in August 2012. Since then, we've produced 4 editions, which have been positively received by the readership. In fact, there are 2 institutions that have told us that they use the magazine as a research tool, almost like a journal. One of those organizations or institutions is the Institute for Global Dialogue, whose head is a regular contributor to this magazine. Now, obviously, the main objective of this magazine is to communicate with and educate, to some extent, our stakeholders on South Africa's international relations, policy positions, achievements, objectives, and goals. And obviously, we invite people to write back to us and tell us where they agree, where they don't agree, and even to propose ideas that they may have. So it's not a one-way stream. It's a platform for people to give us feedback on the work that we do as a department. And we give space in that publication to other sector departments that have an international mandate. So when you open the magazine, for example, you will see articles from the Department of Defense, from the DTI, from Brand South Africa, and other organizations that have an international mandate within our country, and parastatals as well. So we're hoping that you will embrace that publication. It's a very glossy, beautiful, well-packaged magazine. In fact, I doubt there is a magazine out there that can compete with ours. It's a strategic platform that we are hoping will grow. I don't think 2 years ago, within the South African government space, there were many that thought you could have a publication that you can access at SAA business lounges, which can be embraced as widely as our magazine has been embraced, available globally. If you consider that 126 missions gives us presence significantly worldwide. A second platform that we are launching today, which is very historic, is the radio station which we call Ubuntu Radio. It's the country's first government-run 24-hour online radio station. It's a significant moment for the department, for our government, in the effort to answer the question of how do Africans tell their own stories from an African perspective and contextualize the journey that we have walked as Africans in this African context from 1994 to date, the evolution of our foreign policy, the achievements over the last 19 years, where we are today and where we are going. And why is it that Africa remains the centerpiece of our foreign policy? The idea behind its conception was a need to create a platform for exchange of views and opinions by key players who contribute to shaping South Africa's foreign policy. And this includes people like JJ, institutions, the diplomatic community, civil society, academia, I've referred to the media, students, and any other role player, or just people who are interested in South Africa's foreign policy. You would agree with me that South Africa is a major global player. And in the context of the role that we play on the African continent, championing the African agenda, now as a member of BRICS, as the only African country in the G20, the role that we've been playing at the United Nations, we've had 2 tenures in the UN Security Council. You had the President of France, who was here last week, or a couple of days back, endorsing South Africa. In his words, he said, it's time that South Africa should represent Africa in the United Nations Security Council, and he was talking about a reformed Security Council in the permanent category. Such is the stature of our country that the President of France is willing to say that on the record, recognizing our global stature, the influential position that we play in global affairs. Now, in addition, South Africa's continuous role in engagement in the activities of the African Union in the Southern African Development Community, or SADC, have positioned our country firmly as a formidable contributor in the regional and global political space. Now, we did an analysis of to what extent is foreign policy in the public discourse, and it became very clear to us that very little. In fact, to give you a practical example, if you were to check how many media houses have foreign policy correspondents, you would struggle to come up with more than 3 names. And that translates into international relations as a portfolio, as an area of work missing from public discourse. That then extends to a lot of South Africans not having a conversation or not even being interested in what goes on in the international relations space. In other words, when they hear that South Africa is contributing to assist another African country, the first question is, why are you wasting money? As opposed to seeking to understand what informs that decision. Why is it that we believe it's important to assist the people of Zimbabwe when there are challenges there? How does that have an impact on me as an ordinary South African? What is our national interest when we do that? So we then decided, one, the space in which we operate in is too important for us to just leave that space unoccupied. We need to have an ongoing conversation with South Africans, take them into confidence, explain the rationale behind some of the positions that we adopt on major global issues, any topical issue, including the recent one on the relationship between the ICC and the African Union or member states thereof, and many others that you can list. And the question became, how do you do that? Are you going to go to JJ and ask for 5 minutes every day? Or are you going to go to the SABC and ask for 30 minutes every day? How sustainable is that, and how available is that? When there is a terrorist attack in Kenya and South Africans want to know, how can our people or relatives or friends who are there get assistance? Where do they go? When and how fast do you have that conversation with them? It became very clear to us that you need to have a platform that is accessible, that is available, that is immediate, where you can have discussions, not just with South Africans, by the way, with Africans and with the world. And hence the birth of this radio station. It's not going to be a one-way stream. We are not going to be lecturing. We are not going to be talking to our audiences. We are going to be having a conversation with them. The format is talk, which means people will be able to call in, ask questions, differ with us, agree with us, congratulate us where we've done well. The important thing is that we will be having a conversation. And more importantly, for the first time, at least from our point of view, we will be dictating the pace, the time, and the narrative to a larger extent, because we will be articulating the thinking of South Africa on any issue, and people will be able to engage with us on that. We want to change the narrative of how this continent is covered. We want to change or at least challenge what is out there at the moment, because we believe South Africa has a good story to tell. If you were to compare what this country has achieved in the last 19 years and do a comparison with other countries who began where we began at the same time, the answer would suggest that we have done extremely well, but that story is not being told. That's the whole idea behind this radio station. As I said, it's a platform to engage and exchange views. We've also decided that given the limited nature of being online in terms of reach, I think all of us can admit that not all South Africans have access to the internet, which means you will reach a certain number of people and others will be left outside. So we've developed, or are in the final stages of developing an app or an application for all mobile devices. If you own an iPad or a tablet or a smartphone, apologies to those of you who are still not using that phone. If you own a smartphone or any of the other smart mobile devices, you'll be able to listen to us, be able to download the application and listen to us. In addition to those who can get a hold of us via the internet. Being online, obviously, the advantage is that you're accessible globally. So somebody who's sitting in the United States of America, in Washington, D.C., can listen to us. If you're sitting in Bujumbura, you can listen to us. That's where my aunt comes from. So in addition to that, we're looking at the mobile platform to give people more access. We're also talking to other broadcasters to exchange programs. We have signed an MOU with Channel Africa to carry some of our programs, as we will also be carrying some of theirs, because their mandate, for those of you who are not aware, is similar to ours. In fact, the genesis of Channel Africa is the then Foreign Affairs. So there's a lot of synergy in what they do and what we're doing. So we've agreed on a partnership to work together so that more people can be exposed to our content as they carry some of our programming. We are also talking to others. I will not necessarily give you details, but There are other platforms that we're in the final stages of securing, which will give South Africans and the rest of the continent options in terms of how to get a hold of us and listen to us. We obviously also are eagerly awaiting the finalization of the digital migration process led by the Department of Communications, because that will free a lot of frequencies, which will give us options going forward to grow this platform and be available on FM and other mediums, so that more people can listen to us and converse with us, and put foreign policy firmly within public discourse on an ongoing basis, where we engage and hear what the views of our people are. One of the benefits of having a conversation with South Africans is that they've got ideas, they've got suggestions, they've got opinions on the work that we're doing, and we want to hear that. We want to give them an opportunity to engage with us on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis. But also because we believe there is a lot of achievements that have been registered, and we want to make noise about that. We're not apologetic. Those stories must be told, and that's what we want to do utilizing this platform. But that, in a nutshell, is the platform that we are launching today. It's a very exciting moment for us because this is historic. It's not been done before. Obviously, it's a very brave step. When you're a pathfinder, you will also be the one that will have to deal with problems that other people who will follow you will not necessarily encounter, because you would have figured out how to solve them.